Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma. I'm here. I'm flying solo on a day off from Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp, the acclimation period, as Mike Tomlin calls it. First 4 days of training camp in the books. A lot of football and shorts, but a lot of things to get excited about as the team. Hey, there's a full week of football this week, folks. You got the Steelers. They're going to be in pads on Tuesday, tomorrow, and then you get to Friday Night Lights, which is the big Latrobe Memorial Stadium practice. Usually like 13,000 people there. A very exciting time. If you're a fan, you get to see a lot of things. You get to see some more action in pads. And then, of course, Hall of Fame game coming right around the end of this week as well. So there's a lot of football ramping up. You know, you saw all these clips from the Back Together week. Talk about a little bit about that in a few moments, but the Steelers also making a pretty big announcement over this weekend. 3 new inductees, obviously no huge surprise here as to one of them into their Hall of Honor class of 2025. Ben Roethlisberger, Marquise Pouncey, and Joey Porter, the senior, who led the team in sacks for very many years, was one of those guys high up the charts, many Pro Bowls, 3 of them to be exact, also won a Super Bowl with the Steelers, and then went on and had some success with the Dolphins before some knee injury slowed him down. He was also a coach with the Steelers for a little bit of time too, in case anyone forgot. Marquise Pouncey, of course, you never thought there would be a time where we would say Marquise Pouncey was retired. Then lo and behold, following, the disastrous season that started 11-0 and then ended up not winning a playoff game, Pouncey, and that famous image of him and Ben Roethlisberger sitting on the bench, and Marquise just calling it quits there. But one of the greats, right alongside the legacy of other centers such as Mike Webster, Dermontti Dawson. Do believe that Pouncey one day will also be enshrined in Canton, multiple time Pro Bowler, All Pro, Super Bowl champion, just very a great player. He was the first center in NFL history to be selected to the Pro Bowl in each of his first 3 seasons in the league. He was a 9-time Pro Bowl selection, including 2020, and he was voted twice, first team All Pro and a second team All Pro 3 times as well. So then there's Ben Roethlisberger, and he pretty much owns every statistic there is in Pittsburgh Steelers franchise history that a quarterback could have. I don't think we need to go through Big Ben's accolades and take away from what will be a kind of a brief show. We're going to come back around to you later this week from training camp with some more insights and some news. And this time I'm going to probably be confined to a hotel room and not my lovely, abode here, which, things keep moving around here. If you notice something different, call me out on it. I'm always looking for space. I got so much decor. I get so many things. I got TJ Watt bobblehead sitting here. This one lights up too. Kind of crazy. Big head. Kind of like Brian. Brian will be back soon enough as well, and we'll be talking about, by the time Brian's back, we're going to be talking about actual football games and some previews for preseason games. But just some quick Roethlisberger fast facts. He played in 249 games. All but 2 of those were starts, with 18 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 Super Bowl appearances, including winning 2 of those. He holds or shares at least 52 franchise regular season records and another 18 franchise postseason records. He has 9 NFL records. 13 times he was named a team captain, 6 times Pro Bowl selection. He's ranked 5th in NFL history with 165 regular season victories as a starting quarterback. That was, at the time his career was over in 2021. He's 6th in NFL history with a .67 regular season winning percentage, 6,700 as a starting quarterback. So, man, Ben, just some really big numbers when you think about it. And now we flip from all of that and the consistency and the stable quarterbacking of Ben Roethlisberger to the Aaron Rodgers era in Pittsburgh. And boy, it's been exciting thus far. I don't know if you've seen some of the clips, some of the interviews that are out there. There's been some things that have been made about Rodgers, first off with the defense, but I'll get to them in a second. The first impressions are Aaron Rodgers looks good in shorts, as he should. 41-year-old, a veteran, but it looks like, it really sounds like he's having fun. And for all of the teammates that have been interviewed, for all of the media that's spoken to him, he's been very, I guess, open, approachable, just another one of the guys. I think it was in New York that this was quoted that he was doing that, and I think he's doing this again in Latrobe now. And he's having lunch with a different player. Like, he goes and sits at a different table or different teammates every single day. He just doesn't go and sit with his offensive lineman or go and sit with DK Metcalf, whom, there's the dorm room flush story or whatever, and they're happy to be teammates, whatever. I'll stay away from that one. But a very interesting way to build team chemistry and get to know people, because, when he was in Green Bay, you have carryover, a lot of carryover from year to year with teammates. So you're familiar with a lot of faces. This is all new to him. And even speaking on that, there are some great clips out there from Good Morning Football. Kyle Brandt interviews Aaron Rodgers. If you didn't see that, it'll be up on steelcityunderground.com. We shared it on X. It's probably everywhere you could go, YouTube, everything else. Go check those out. Kyle Brandt talks with Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers talks about all kinds of things, including Terry Bradshaw, including marriage, and all kinds of stuff that doesn't necessarily have to do with just on the field, which very personable. It's about a good 10 to 12 minute clip if you get to see that. Likewise, Brandt also got some time with Mike Tomlin, who talks about the various challenges of having somebody like an Aaron Rodgers that's been around. You got to coach a guy that's already seen and done a lot of things. That's a challenge. And even for somebody entering year 19 like Iron Mike, should start calling him Iron Mike, because he's been around forever. Doesn't look like he has any interest in stopping just yet. But this could be the retirement tour, so to speak, for Aaron Rodgers. He's putting some zip on the ball. There's been some really nice clips of Rodgers throwing the football again in shorts. No padded practices just yet until this week. But it's been hot. They've had some of these camp sessions already shortened due to weather, but they're getting the work in, and he's dazzled. There's been a throw or two to DK Metcalf already, if you saw that. That was just incredible. The offense looks like it's going to be a different animal, a different beast with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. So just all the early impressions of him. Yeah, he's thrown some interceptions. And there's obviously there's been some trash talk. There's been some fighting at different levels with different players. You've got the defense, right? Mike Tomlin talked about the challenge of having a Darius Slay. What is Darius Slay now? 32, 33 years of age. Jalen Ramsey's 30. You've got some guys that have been around the block more than once. And Ramsey's been picking the pocket of Aaron Rodgers to start off. And Derek Harmon's been impressive on that line. Y.A. Black, the other rookie defensive lineman out of Iowa. They've looked good. They've looked good against some of their competition. Obviously, Black's not up against starters. Harmon is getting some looks. He's being expected to jump in and contribute week one. So that is one thing about Derek Harmon. Now, the defense, they're getting to Rodgers. Patrick Queen, I guess, he has his has an interception of Rodgers, like one of the first throws Rodgers has in camp. I take a lot of that with a grain of salt, but these guys aren't. They're the highest paid defense in the NFL per average. And they've got to show up, right? There's a lot on the line. Ramsey just got a big contract extension. This could be Slay's last stop too. They're wanting to win a championship, and for all intents and purposes, that's what it looks like the defense is looking out to do. They're looking to upstage this offense. They're looking to upstage and kind of mentioning one of the more I wouldn't say major injuries. I'm not sure as far as like your players that are going to be on maybe the final 53-man roster. You've got Broderick Jones, who's got some mixed reports out there. Now, he's slimmed down some, so he could be quicker. He could be a little more agile coming off the left. But goodness, the guys that he's up against are not giving him an easy time. So if you think that maybe, Broderick Jones is looking bad, Aaron Rodgers is looking good too. He's knowing where to look, where to put the ball. He's knowing where that pressure might be coming. Again, hard to gauge the performance of somebody like Jones, the performance of somebody like Black, until we get those pads on and you actually get some meat on meat, right? Bone on bone. You get some of these guys that start to just clang and bang, for lack of better words, right? There's been some competitive matchups with running backs. We've seen Caleb Johnson breaking free and showing off his speed. Seen Mike Tomlin calls him Kenneth Gainwell up against Peyton Wilson, and that's been a fun, what do you want to say, battle thus far in camp. There's just been kind of, it's hard to say the things to get excited about. What you really want to look at is, for example, I should be remiss not to mention that Cordero Patterson has been released by the Steelers. He made some real snide comment about, this old slow guy just got fired. 34 years of age, running back / wide receiver / kick returner. Father Time catches up to everyone. And that's what we're kind of thinking about with, like the offense. And they're just kind of, or the defense, I should say, and some of these players, Aaron Rodgers, Darius Slay. I don't want to be a broken record about age. Age is just a number. You look at Cam Hayward, age is like fine wine. But what we want to look at is where some of these players are being used. And Patterson just found himself in an incredibly crowded room that also, you go further into the depth chart, maybe he comes up off the practice squad to play, maybe some special teams. But Trey Sermon, who was, a dude at Ohio State 2-3 years ago, is on the far end of this depth chart that has Jaylen Warren, that has Caleb Johnson. I know I stutter over Caleb Johnson's name all the time, and I'm just like, oh, geez, don't screw it up. It's Caleb Johnson. For whatever reason, I may have said given the wrong last name on the last show, like Camel. I called him something like that. I got names conflated there. But Kenneth Gainwell, we'll see how the ball security is, but Gainwell is also a return guy. That made Patterson very much so expendable for the younger, maybe snappier player. Again, Father Time being undefeated. But the other thing to be looking at is Jalen Ramsey playing a lot of high safety as well. As mentioned in our camp previews over the last 2 episodes, this is a player that the Steelers are going to feature heavily. They didn't pay him all this money to not have him on the field. So even if you have Slay and you have Joey Porter Jr. on the field at the same times, you're going to find Ramsey along the line of scrimmage. He's going to be scooting back. He's going to be trying to confuse his opposition. You're going to need to do that when you're up against Joe Burrow, with the Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's got, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, and they've got, both of these teams have a lot of threats, a lot of weapons that the Steelers, they're sitting here right now and they're planning for. So part of that is just mixing it up. And that's one of the reasons why, and you see the clips even on social media, be careful of what you share out there, folks, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, that was really predictable. Like, some of this stuff is getting staged and planned right now, and everybody's just like, oh, hey, look, give me attention because I posted it on social media. Please don't do that. But if it's some simple drills, we saw some, you see some of the beat reporters out there, just like a nice little pitch and catch where Jaylen Warren goes up and gets a pass from Aaron Rodgers. You've got Caleb Johnson. It's been exciting to watch. But then again, Jalen Ramsey, I don't know how many interceptions he already has, 2 or 3. And I should mention a name here too. Brandon Eccles, who's been kind of a journeyman around the league, is getting some of his just desserts as he's getting some looks this week. He's on a very, very deep depth chart here for the Steelers. I don't know. He would have to bump like a Corey Trice, James Pierre. That's if the Steelers keep 6 corners. I haven't quite gotten into the hot seat competitions yet, or how deep the depth charts are. We'll start looking at some of that during the preseason as some of the pecking order begins to pan out. So that's about it when it comes to offense, defense, some of the names, some of the big names. It's hard to just put, hey, watch this guy. It's exciting to watch all of the rookies like DeJack Sawyers, Derek Harmon. But again, Wyatt Black, when they're not in pads, it makes for a whole different kind of ball, a different kind of game. They get into pads, things start to get a little nastier, and it's just more like football, and you get a better idea of what Mike Tomlin's looking at. There he is, right there with PZ, who's always at camp. What a Steeler for life, right? Joey Porter Jr. So, just some other programming notes too. The chaos that's going to be at. I should mention, there's some of the tight ends too are also getting some acknowledgement here with the Pittsburgh Steelers early on. And it's not just your usual suspects. They may keep 4. That may they may make it difficult, to be honest, because it really is going to depend on where does Connor Hayward end up in this pecking order? Because you got Pat Fryermuth, you've got John L. Smith, you've got Darnell Washington already. There's 3 dudes. And then make it a good push, at least for practice squad. J.J. Galbraith, hearing a lot about him early on, if he could be a special teams contributor. Steelers kept Kevin Rader around for several years, one of my favorite guys, formerly out of Youngstown State. But, Rodgers goes for John L. Smith and gets picked off. It was either Eccles or Ramsey, if I'm remembering correctly at this point. I'm not so concerned about the picks. People will make a big deal and they stat track. One of the things that was really driving me crazy early on in all of this process is we already have statistics for Will Howard, the rookie out of Ohio State. And somebody was tracking his statistics. I forget what he was, like 15 to 17 and blah, blah, blah. And keep in mind, Howard's taking like 3rd and 4th team reps early on here. He's the low man on the totem pole. He's against other guys that are, they're roster hopefuls, but nothing's in the bag. More than likely, they won't be employed come September. But it's promising still to see him ascend and do well in the pro atmosphere and to show that he belongs. So I won't take that away from him, but again, let's take all the stat tracking with a grain of salt. We don't know what Rodgers is attempting to do, what he's attempting to try, something different. The guy's been around for 20 years, so doing the same old, maybe it was something. Maybe it was something that he has a tell. He has that poker tell. He couldn't bluff on the play, and the defense snuffs it out. So programming notes again, be back later this week. Some eyewitness accounts again from Saint Vincent College in Latrobe. Wednesday, the madhouse of the Pat McAfee Show, and more than likely Aaron Rodgers joining that. So we'll see what that's like Wednesday. I think the gates open there at like 11 a.m. That whole thing is going to be absolutely crazy. So we're really excited to see everybody in pads, really excited to see and hear everything, from Will Howard, Mason Rudolph saying, Aaron Rodgers is a good teammate, watching him just work on timing and rhythm. The same thing with, Zach Frazier. Those little clips, there's nothing to be taken for granted here. Every little snippet that you could get from training camp, absorb it as much as you can. This is all going to piece together for a Steelers team that hopes to compete for another Lombardi trophy this season. Folks, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching or listening wherever you may be. Of course, those of you that are going to be watching on our Spotify feed, that video feed updates next day, so just be patient. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Leave a rating or review, comment wherever you may be, thumbs up. We appreciate all the support that everyone gives us. That's about it for now. There's not a whole lot to cover. I'm going to get into a little bit more of the position battles where players are being utilized. Other than Ramsey, kind of had a thought he might be a safety. Oh, Chuck Clark getting signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. And now he's getting signed. They looked at Marcus Williams too, which I called on this show not too long ago, about a month ago. I said, look, former Ravens, the Steelers are looking within division at certain players. I'm surprised they didn't give a look to some former Bengals, but then again, their defense has been lousy. Clark hits like a bus. He'd be a very good special teams and depth addition because they don't have a whole lot of safeties. Remember, Miles Killebrew is a special teams ace too, so they need somebody who could actually play on the field other than Juan Thornhill and another former Baltimore Raven, Deshaun Elliott. And then Thornhill also from within the division, having formerly played for the Cleveland Browns the last couple of seasons. So Chuck Clark, welcome to the Berg. Folks, thank you again for joining wherever you may be. Till next time, my name is Joe Kuzma, and we always encourage our friends and fans that are out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.